You're listening to Bad Girlfriend Radio. I'm your host, Bree Schmidt. I'm a relationship coach and educator offering advice and insight that is no shame, no sugarcoat, and no BS. Today's episode is all about why you should stop being nice, but without being mean. There is a good chance that this is not what you were taught growing up, but it's what you should have been taught, and quite frankly, your happiness is depending on it. I'll be talking all about being assertive and stepping into your own power in your life and in your relationships, so for all of that, keep on listening. Do you enjoy listening to Bad Girlfriend Radio, but what you really want is a chance to talk one-on-one about dating and relationships? If you are ready to start thriving in dating and your love life, I am here to coach you in personalized coaching sessions that are all about you, and all you need is an internet connection. I offer coaching through private video calls as well as through email, and you can book your first consultation call with me for free if you just head over to breeschmidt.com and tap Work With Me, or you can find the link over in this episode's show description. We'll get deep into the thought patterns and limiting beliefs that are holding you back, and you'll learn how to shift your mindset to gain confidence and empower yourself to live as your highest, best bad girlfriend self in your love life. I'll give you action steps, worksheets, and resources to keep you engaged in growth throughout the whole process. And all of this is tailor-made for you and your needs and your goals. And hey, it doesn't matter if you're single or in a relationship or married. This is about you showing up the way that you want to, no matter your relationship status. Whether you are looking to start dating with confidence, heal through your breakup, or stop fighting with your partner, I am here to work with you. So go to breeschmidt.com and tap Work With Me, or go find the link in this episode's show description. Now, on to today's discussion. So today's episode is called Why You Should Stop Being Nice Without Being Mean. Hearing the words nice and mean, am I the only one picturing the school playground back in elementary school, and there's the group of the nice, quiet kids, and then there's like the mean school bully? When we were younger, typically we were taught to be nice, listen to the teacher, don't get into trouble. But as women, even as adult women, these labels of nice women and mean bitchy women are still used. We are still put into these two categories. There's cultural conditioning that kind of teaches us that there are nice women and then other women. So to be a nice woman, you should be small. And I don't mean even like physically small, but kind of in your voice, in the amount of emotional space that you take up. Be small and quiet and agreeable, easy to digest. Deal with your grievances privately. Don't fight back. And if you do fight back, then you might be labeled a liar, or, you're too sensitive, you're too dramatic, you'll be victim blamed in some way. This is how to be a nice woman. And I'm telling you now, stop. Stop being nice. I've talked in the past about being kind, not polite. Kindness and niceness or politeness, they are not the same thing. Being kind and being nice are not the same. Kindness comes from compassion for others and wanting to choose the path that essentially harms people the least, and that also includes yourself. Niceness or politeness is more about being agreeable. It's more about maintaining others' comfort over your own. And it's not because you're so selfless and giving. It's because you don't want to face disapproval. Now, it's okay to sometimes just be nice and polite if you're dealing with maybe a customer at work, or even like your strict grandmother who you just can't really relate to at all. They can't really relate to you. It's fine. Be nice, be polite. Those relationships are probably, honestly, a little bit more superficial and maybe based on some kind of roles, like customer and employee roles, right? But chances are, if you're listening to this podcast, that's not what you want for closer, more meaningful relationships in your life. That's not what you want for the people who you date or the people you marry. And that's why niceness has no place in those relationships. So when I talk about not being nice and quiet and small, and not being the mean bully back in school, right? Who burns everyone that they come in contact with. Really, what I'm talking about is choosing to be assertive. So on one end, we have passivity. So if you're more passive with others, then you're probably just kind of playing nice. And then in the middle, there's assertiveness, where you can be assertive and kind, and it's in a way that isn't putting others first all the time. It actually, maintains some space for you and your own needs and your own voice. And then finally, there's aggression. This is like the mean school bully. So we have passivity, assertiveness, and aggression. So let's break each of these three down a little bit, first starting with passivity. If you're typically passive in relationships, then you probably find yourself tiptoeing around conflict a lot or burying your true feelings and thoughts to avoid conflict. You may commonly deflect questions to avoid self-disclosure. So if someone asks, what do you want to do that day? You ask what they want to do. Or if they ask what you think, then you ask what they think. You communicate to others in a way that makes it seem like your needs aren't really important. And you may actually believe this. You may have learned at some point or another that it's the right thing to do to put others first. You may have some people-pleasing tendencies, right? And from this, you may experience anxiety at not being able to speak up, even when you really, really want to. And you may also feel some resentment towards others because you're so giving to them, and then maybe they're not returning the favor. You may believe deep down that you deserve to be rewarded for being such a nice person, and that if you give and sacrifice yourself, that you'll earn it back somewhere. Someone will eventually reward you for being so generous with yourself. But the truth is, the world doesn't work this way. And instead of giving all of yourself and waiting for it to be returned, you could keep some of you for you. So you take back power in your own life instead of waiting for someone else to hand it to you. Now I'm going to jump over to the opposite end of the spectrum, to aggression. So for aggressive people, they are in touch with what they want, but maybe their way of asking for it is, well, more of like a demand. If you are aggressive, you are focused on getting what you want, even if it's at the expense of other people. In situations where you believe that you're right and the other person is wrong, you may almost believe that it's a duty of self-love, of self-respect, to stand up to the other person and take them down and get what you deserve from them. So, for example, if you find out that your partner forgot your anniversary, then you may take it upon yourself to teach them a lesson. You will guilt trip them and force them to make it up to you. You will criticize them or maybe threaten to leave them, whatever it takes to make sure that you win and that your point gets across. So if you usually deal with conflict in your relationships like this with so much aggression, you may have trouble developing long-term and meaningful connections with people. People may stop opening up. And not only this, but when you communicate aggressively and get what you actually wanted, when you actually, win, when you achieve the thing that you were kind of demanding, you may start to have this strange feeling of guilt or dissatisfaction afterwards because you realize that you kind of manipulated them into doing what you wanted. And then there's assertiveness, where you're not passive, not aggressive, not passive-aggressive. You're just honest and open and direct without trying to hurt others. You're confident, you're not ashamed of yourself, you're not wielding your power over others to get what you want. You're just assertive. And by the way, for all three of these, it's not just about the words that you use to communicate things. Body language can also express how passive or assertive or aggressive you are. So imagine if you speak quietly, maybe you smile a lot out of nervousness, you keep your body physically small and tense, maybe your head is lowered a little bit, then that sounds like someone who is probably more passive. If you're taking up a lot of space, even crowding other people's space, you're speaking loudly, maybe you're doing things like rolling your eyes or crossing your arms out of anger, that's aggressive. Assertive people tend to have body language that is open. So if they're talking to someone, they turn towards that person. They make eye contact. They probably keep their shoulders back confidently. So these different styles of approaching others and communicating aren't only about communicating with your words, but also with your body language. And certainly your actions are part of these styles too. So like I said before, back on the playground at school, there were, the nice, shy kids and then the bullies. And neither of these types really translate so well into adulthood, and certainly not into romantic relationships. So landing somewhere in the middle, being more assertive, gives you more power to have the relationship that you want, the kind of partner that you want. And most importantly, you can be the person that you want to be for yourself. So if being assertive is the ideal, what does that even look like? What does that mean? What are assertive actions in relationships? Well, for one thing, being assertive means that you're trying to find a win-win. Passivity is more about I lose and you win. Aggression is I win, you lose. But assertiveness is not about trying to control the other person. It is not about trying to control them. It is about collaborating and compromising in a way where both people can win, even if it's a small win. Being assertive means that you say no when you want to, and you say yes when you want to, and you can set boundaries. And it's not only about setting boundaries, but setting appropriate consequences for when boundaries are crossed. For the longest time, I didn't even know that it was okay to have consequences for boundaries because I thought that would be too controlling or something. But think of boundaries and consequences as a way to protect yourself and keep yourself in control. It's not about controlling them. Something like a threat or an ultimatum that is made in an attempt to control the other person is a different story. Just simply the intention behind it makes all the difference. So think consequences for boundaries is more about you maintaining yourself and preserving yourself, controlling yourself, right? But something like threatening or giving an ultimatum with the expectation that they will listen to you and that the other person will do what you want, that's more aggressive, that's more controlling. So setting clear boundaries that you communicate confidently and then establishing consequences for when they're crossed in an attempt to take care of yourself is assertive. You're not trying to hurt the other person, but you're also being clear that you're not going to let yourself be hurt and walked all over either. Being assertive means that you're able to face conflict when it comes up, and also you're able to apologize when necessary. Being assertive also means that you're able to practice clear communication. You can express your feelings and your thoughts and your needs, and you can also make requests openly. Not demands, you're not demanding, but you're requesting what you want. And if someone makes a request like this to you, you can agree to it or you can counteroffer if it's something that you don't really feel comfortable with. Being assertive, especially in dating, it means that you can make the first move. You're not waiting for someone to approach you. You don't feel like you're limited to just passively waiting on the side. You are not waiting for nobody if you don't feel like it. You are able to go out there and make the first move if that's what you want to do. Being assertive means that you base decisions on your own personal values and needs, not on how people may react to your decisions. So in other words, you know that you have to live with your decisions after you make them. This is your life, and you consider what is important to you rather than what is important to other people or how they may judge you for your decision. Your own values and needs come first. They have their own set of priorities and values, and they can make their own decisions based on those qualities. But only you can decide for yourself the decisions that work for you in your life. They don't get to decide for you. Being assertive is not only important during conflict or disagreements, but being assertive also means that you're able to, like I said before, show kindness. It's not niceness. It's not about pleasing them. It's about just being openly kind and caring about other people with compassion. So you're able to show gratitude and you're able to express affection. You're also able to take turns listening. You don't feel the need to take over the conversation. And you also don't feel like you need to just sit by silently while the other person takes over. This is where, again, like that be kind, not polite, or be kind, not nice comes in. Kindness is still absolutely part of being assertive. Practicing gratitude and appreciation and compassion can definitely go hand in hand with being assertive. So with these 3 styles in mind, you might be wondering which one you're most like. And so for that, I made a quiz. It's over in the digital resource library at breeschmidt.com. So go to breeschmidt.com/sign up. And even if you've signed up before and you already have the password to access the resource library page, on that page, breeschmidt.com/sign up, there's a space there for you to enter the password so you can have access right there. You don't need to sign up again. So again, that's breeschmidt.com/sign up, and you can access this quiz to find out if you're passive, assertive, or aggressive, and you can get all my other freebies and quizzes there as well. For me, I have been all 3 of these in my relationships. It took me a really long time to realize that I grew up learning to be quiet and to please others. And it wasn't this like overt, obvious thing that I was taught, but I think little cues here and there, I kind of picked up that that was the expectation. And I did actually believe, although I didn't really know it at the time, I hadn't done the work to get to know myself and my beliefs yet, but so yeah, I didn't know it for a long time, but I actually believed that by being quiet and polite and agreeable, I was a good person. And as a good person, I would be rewarded. And I don't even mean in like a religious way, like I'm going to go to heaven or something. I just thought that at some point I would somehow be rewarded or recognized for being a good person. And this is a belief that I had buried. It wasn't a conscious belief. It was more of a subconscious belief that I carried for a really long time. But the truth is, being quiet and hiding yourself does not make you a good person. Being small and leaving room for others to be big does not make you a good person. Sacrificing yourself does not make you a good person. But I didn't know this for a very long time, and I wasn't even aware of this belief that I was holding that was guiding me to be passive. Now, on the other hand, I have also been pretty aggressive with those who are closest to me. You know, in this episode, I'm advocating for becoming more assertive in relationships, but for some of us, myself included, we just bypass assertiveness entirely and we just swing between passive and aggressive. And I think I saw my closest relationships as being kind of an opportunity or a space for me to be bigger. So if I only knew to be polite and quiet with a lot of people out there in the world, then at least when I go home, I can be myself. I'm not quiet. I'm not small. I am strong, actually, and I'll prove it to you by being aggressive. If I was consciously thinking this, it would sound pretty crazy, but now I realize that, yeah, I've definitely been too aggressive at times in my closest relationships, including romantic relationships. I have at times in the past, I've been the girlfriend who was always crying into her pillow, you know, feeling sorry for myself, feeling kind of helpless. So then after that, in my next relationship, I think after being that girlfriend, the one who's kind of helpless and feels like a victim, I think I took it upon myself in my next relationship to kind of, I don't know, tap into my anger, you know, to be strong, to be feisty, which, I mean, hey, that sounds better than, hello, I'm the girlfriend who cries into her pillow all the time. I think back then I would almost be proud that I had developed more aggression and I could tell my boyfriend off, you know, I could have these clever insults because that felt better and it felt more powerful than being passive. So in all honesty, I have swung between both of these. I have been passive, I have been aggressive. And now that I realize that there's another option, I don't enjoy either of them. And hey, by the way, crying into your pillow doesn't always mean that you're passive, just so you know. But for me, that's definitely what was going on. I was giving away all my power and my happiness constantly. Now I'm more balanced, I'm more centered, and I'm more assertive, and I'm able to work through conflicts directly but calmly. For a lot of us, it doesn't always come so easily to be assertive. Sometimes being passive or being aggressive just seems like the more comfortable option. There are some barriers that can get in the way of being assertive. So if you're passive, you may feel some fear of being criticized or judged if you become more assertive. The thought of opening up about what you want to someone else or making a request of what you want them to do can make you feel really nervous, especially if you're focused on wanting people to like you. You may worry that being assertive would make you seem selfish or controlling, even though being assertive is not about being controlling. But if you're not used to being honest about your feelings and your needs, then it may start to feel like that. It may feel like you're really leaving your comfort zone. And then on the other hand, if you tend to be more aggressive, you may feel that you're giving up control if you give up your aggressive behaviors. And if you tend to be aggressive, it may be hard to give that up if you've used aggression as kind of a defense mechanism for a long time. You may have learned that aggression helps you to protect yourself or control how others treat you. So giving that up may be hard. And remember earlier when I said that it's okay to be nice and polite with certain people who you have a more distant relationship with? Related to that, not every person and situation warrants being assertive. There are times when you might choose to just walk away, especially if the other person is someone you don't really know. Maybe they're unpredictable. They could seriously hurt you. So obviously taking care of yourself and just walking away is okay. There may also be some people who are just so overpowering that it's hard to even be assertive with them. If you know anyone in your life who's really aggressive and they seem to be drawn to conflict, or they're the kind of person who starts a lot of arguments, they'll start talking about something that they're really opinionated about, and it's just clear that anything that you say is going to go in one ear and out the other. With those kind of people, you can just kindly refuse to involve yourself and just stop interacting with them. I mean, that is actually being assertive too, because you're setting a boundary with yourself where you will not get involved in this unnecessary conflict or interactions that drain you of your energy. I mean, that's totally okay. Let's stop here for a quick ad break. If you've made regular reading a goal before but just couldn't get into the habit, try Kindle Unlimited. I use the Kindle app on my phone, and with Kindle Unlimited, I basically have a full library at my fingertips at any time. Because there are so many different books to read on Kindle Unlimited, I have actually turned into a speed reader. I am finishing books left and right. I try to be really mindful of how I spend my time. So when I catch myself on social media too much or just sitting on my sofa being lazy for too long, I can just open the Kindle app and get to reading. With Kindle Unlimited, there are over 1 million titles to choose from, plus magazines and audiobooks too, and you can have them all sent straight to your device immediately. Start a free trial for Kindle Unlimited now using the link in this episode's show description. So under this episode's information, just click the link and try your first month for free. So if you're not yet convinced why being assertive is part of having healthy relationships, here are some benefits to being assertive. First, assertiveness decreases anxiety. In fact, assertiveness training was originally devised as a treatment to social anxiety. Being assertive promotes honesty, trust, and authenticity in relationships. When you're leading with kindness, but you're not sacrificing yourself, you show others that you're honest, you're trustworthy, and you're authentic. When you can model assertive behaviors like compromising to find a solution or openly expressing what you think, it invites the other person to do the same. And on that note, assertiveness promotes equality. Stop giving away your power. Stop wielding your power over someone else. Both people are equals with equally valid feelings and needs, period. Being assertive rather than aggressive helps to have less explosive fights. Listen, those aggressive fights, the criticism, the name calling, the belittling, it'll get you nowhere. And like I said before, if you use your aggression to control the other person and you actually get what you want, you actually kind of win the fight, chances are you won't feel very good about it in the end anyway. A huge benefit of being assertive is that you get what you want. And I don't mean that you make the other person do what you want, but you can ask for it. You are empowered to make kind requests. And even if the other person can't offer what you're requesting, you're treating your own values and needs as being important, which they are. More importantly than just getting a need met by someone else, being assertive means that you're able to respect that you and your partner or the other person are two different people. You are you and they are them. You have more control over yourself when you stop playing passive and helpless or aggressive and reactive. Does that make sense? And finally, being assertive is great because it leaves no room for mind games or manipulation. And when I say manipulation, you may be assuming that I mean aggression, aggressive manipulation. But actually, both passivity and aggression can be forms of manipulation. Think about it. Being aggressive can involve overt manipulation. But when you're passive and you're people-pleasing, in a way, you're also trying to manipulate how the other person views you, right? You may be trying to avoid receiving too much attention so that no one else can see your flaws, so that no one else can judge you. So by keeping to yourself as much as possible or keeping your true opinions and feelings private, you can control how they see you. You can manipulate their thoughts about you. I always say at the start of every episode that what I talk about is no shame. So if you identify as being kind of passive sometimes or a bit aggressive sometimes, I am not shaming you. Listen, I still get a little too aggressive in arguments sometimes. I'm not perfect. And I can also still be, more polite and passive with strangers in public, more so than I even really like, to be honest. There have been times that I wish that I could have asserted myself better with some random person on the street that, did something wrong, but I didn't. And hey, that's okay. I did the best that I could in that situation. And you're doing the best that you can. But if you're really struggling with clear communication, setting boundaries, making requests, all the things that are more assertive relationship behaviors, you can make positive changes. If you grew up feeling like you had to be the quiet, agreeable kid, and 20 years later you're honestly getting tired of it, you can change. If you're tired of getting angry and letting your temper get the best of you, you can change. You don't have to have shame in order to change. But check yourself and check your behaviors and allow yourself space to grow. Like I said before, if you want to take the quiz to see where you are on the spectrum from passive to aggressive, then go to brieschmidt.com/sign up. And one more thing, Bad Girlfriend Radio will be on break for a couple of weeks, but look forward to new episodes coming in June. All right, that's all I've got for today. Thanks for listening. Until next time.